Hi, who's coming to join me? It's a beautiful overcast day in Johannesburg, and I'm here. I've got a couple of minutes before my next client, and I thought, why not open up the discussion to how you can actually start to live in your true nature, no matter what's going on around you. I've heard from so many people that things are a little rough right now. So if you're here, if you're wanting a little inspiration or connection today, join me. And I see Reba. Hi, how are you doing? Thanks for the question this morning about how to use animal totems. And you know, that's one of my favorite things to do. So I wanted to start with a little story while I'm waiting for people to hop on and look at how we can really remember what we're here to do and how we can actually create more joy and vitality in the world. And just to remember, so maybe that's today's tip on the five ways to just remember who you are, what you're doing in your life from a place of alignment with your core values. Is when things are falling apart, it's just temporary. We talked about that yesterday. But just to remember, life in this moment is the perfect teacher. And without challenges, without healthy stress, we wouldn't grow. And I love Pema Chodron. I don't know if you know her. She wrote a beautiful book called How to Love Yourself and Your World. It's one of my favorites. And she tells the story about a woman that's really running away from tigers. So that's a great entry into the animal totem part. But she speaks about how this woman is running and her adrenaline's pumping and the tigers are getting closer and closer to her. And she comes to an end of a cliff, to the edge of a cliff, and she's literally holding on to the vines, and she starts to climb down and she's clinging on for dear life, and she's looking down and she sees that there's some tigers below her as well. And then she notices a little mouse that's gnawing away at the vine to what she's clinging on to. And on the side she also sees this beautiful little bunch of strawberries that are quite close to her, and they're growing out of a clump of grass. So she looks up and she looks down and she looks at the little mouse, and then she takes the strawberry and she pops it in her mouth, and she's in bliss. And she just totally enjoys the moment of eating the strawberry. And even though there are tigers up above and there are always going to be tigers below you, this is actually the predicament that we're always in some way or another, in terms of our birth and our death and how we live our life in the present moment. And each moment is just what it is. Yes, there is perception of, you know, what do I do in this moment, other than to enjoy being in that present. And I talk about this a lot in the Out of the Blues program and in my work with the True Nature Systems, that we can go into trauma, drama, and emergency, or we can turn that trauma into total dharma. And that really is how we're living, right? So it may be the only moment of your life. It might be the only strawberry that you're ever going to eat. And you can get really depressed about that. And I'm sure you can relate to wondering, you know, about your past, the stories of your past, the moments of your past where you kind of feel like, oh my gosh, it doesn't get any better than this. Or you can just appreciate where you are, eating that beautiful sweet strawberry, and just delight in the preciousness of every single moment of your life as if it's the last moment that you're going to have. And I love that, because it really reminds us to just stay present, because you can't change what is, but we can choose, and this is back to choice, that we can really choose to just appreciate it and explore the value of what it's teaching us. Because when you switch your perspective, remember, everything is just an interesting point of view. that's when everything changes. It's about remembering that you have the choice. That, you know, when you can just observe the simple and undeniable truth in your personal experience, in the moment, the stories of the lack of limitation and all those tigers might just fade away. So, what's coming up for you, and what questions do you have about how to stay present in the moment? What would you like to know about that? You know, what's coming up for you right now where you are literally being taken out of your present life circumstances because it's too painful? Remember, we talked yesterday about how you have to be willing to feel in order to heal. And remember that we are our own worst critics. We need to learn. It's just been Mother's Day. Hey, look, I got some beautiful flowers from my daughter for Mother's Day, and I love them. Happy sunflowers. They are such happy flowers, and a flower doesn't hold back anything because hasn't been enough water or nobody's admiring them. They just be the best flower that they can be. And I think that goes for that radical self-care of nurturing, of wanting to be held in the moment, is to learn to hold yourself. Learn to hold yourself and nurture yourself and be kind to yourself. Because we've been conditioned out of caring as if it was something that was selfish. So post me some comments and questions. This is kind of a live chat, and I'd love to hear what comes up to you for you when you think about radical self-care and loving yourself with a wholehearted willingness to just be what and how you already are in your imperfection, and know that there's nothing to forgive, or to fix. And just to be in that space, to hold yourself in that space. How are you practicing that? Okay. Looks like my clients just arrived. So this is a quick one today. But yeah, post your comments and questions. And just remember, nothing lasts, not even your troubles. We think that the point is to pass the test or overcome the problem. But the truth is that things don't really get solved or changed from that place. Problem solving is great. If you haven't read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, and resistance, he talks a lot about resistance and doubt, and how just knowing that resistance is going to be there every single day. When you open your eyes, doubt's going to be there. So have a conversation with doubt, and have a conversation with your mind, and give it a voice just for 5 minutes. And then choose what you're going to choose from a place of kindness and heart and congruence with what you want to create for your life today. And what great and grand adventures could you have, even in the simplest things that you're doing. Because that's the place where, if you look at your life like a movie, right? There is a part in Chinese medicine called the projector in the back of your brain that literally is capturing frame by frame your life. And we're creating life from beautiful mosaics of time all the time. And when you can see them for what they were or are, then you don't have to go into that place of regret and sentiment that sometimes keeps you from staying in the present moment of saying, well, you know what? I had great sex last year. But what if that is the way that you cap how great you can receive in the future, by saying, I wonder how I could receive more than what that was. And, you know, looking into nature, we can really see enormous, huge, rigid trees that get uprooted in huge, rough storms. And yet there's a flexibility of that wood element in Chinese medicine, in the 5 elements flow, of the foliage that allows the grass to dance and the trees to bend. And yes, sometimes if you're not watering your wood, you're going to get rigid and inflexible and feel like you can't move. Rather than dancing in the wind, dancing with the breeze, because we're continually offered this opportunity to grow with the flow and see how, futile it would be to struggle. Nature is such a great teacher. It teaches us to stop resisting, to stop trying to fight against the chaotic nature of the experiences that you're experiencing, the challenges that are coming up, and find a way to bend, to move with it in a better way, to dance and play and be adaptable. I think adaptability is one of the biggest ways that we can stop struggling so much. Okay, so my question to you today would be, how can you be more flexible? How can you use nature of what's going on in your environment, the nature of the trees, of the plants, of the animals that are so flexible and adaptive in their environment? Lions' greatest strength is adaptability. They work as a team. They know that without teamwork, they don't eat. So the young lioness that chases because she has the speed and the endurance that the older lionesses perhaps don't have, she depends on the wisdom of the elder lions to assist her in taking down the prey so that they all eat. So how can you create a win-win situation? By being more flexible, being open to ask questions like, how can I, if you were doing this, how would you do it? Rather than being inflexible in how you want it done your way. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that. Post your comments and questions. Let me know how you can be more flexible and add more joy into the present moment, knowing that it's temporary, that this is the best moment that you can have, and loving yourself in that. So I'm going to go to my client. I'm wishing you a wonderful day of flexibility and more joy and less stress. And I'll be seeing you tomorrow at the same time, 10 o'clock. And let's continue this dialogue. And what are some of the ways that I can support you in navigating your way through the choppy seas or the storm that's going on around you in the chaotic busyness of the world, that's going to allow you to really love where you are. All right, take care. Bye.